All right. Yo. Welcome to Star Enlightenment Channel. We in with another good one today. As you can tell, this live video is going to be about orgasm and spirituality. Now, understanding this, I'm not going to get into any explicit details and stuff like that, because this is, an open channel for all ages and stuff like that. But we are going to kind of get a little bit in depth, at least from a sense of understanding. We're just not going to get too explicit. You see what I'm saying? So let me talk a little bit closer to the camera because you know how I be. But anyway, like I said, orgasm and spirituality. So we already know for a fact that the energy of orgasm is very sacred. The energy of orgasm is very potent. Male and women, it's all the same energy. And this deals with a person's life force, right? When people orgasm too many times, um, that their body can handle, and depending on the sexual reservoir, it can drain them eventually, and they need to recharge. And you know what I'm saying? Um, but understanding this from a deeper level is this: what is orgasm itself? Orgasm is the expulsion of your life force. So like it's a piece of your spirit, but it's don't look at it like the orgasm is your spirit. It's just your spirit makes this substance, and um it bends in into you, like it comes in a density to you, kind of like how we created the body. Like we create the body, we created the vehicle, the vessel that we in, as far as our physical body, and it condensed and stuff like that. And people think it's something outside of us that did it, but really it's our own spirits that condensed this realm reality and chose to come here in the first place. But that's another video. But it'll help you understand the concept of how we create things. Everything bends in. We make blood flows and everything. We make blood flows, and it first starts out with our thoughts and feelings and who our imagination and all that stuff bends in into our blood flow. And sperm cells develop from the blood cells. So the more blood a person can produce, the more likely they can produce more sperm cells and other cells as well. But that's how that is. So the more spirit a person has, aka the more like soul, emotions, and feelings, the more thoughts and imaginations and creative imagination that they have in their own life in general, the more likely that they'll create more life within them. And a lot of times it'll take the place eventually as like sperm cells because it's a trickle down pattern. You know what I'm saying? The more their imagination, that's the internal. That's from the spirit. They pushing off a lot of light spiritually, and then it bends in into blood cells and then becomes sperm cells. But that's how, what I'm saying, the sperm cells itself get created. So whenever a person expulses, has an orgasm, that is a spiritual experience to an extent because it puts them in a state where they are releasing a bit of their life force. They are releasing a bit of their vitality. You see what I'm saying? Because in order for you to make something so sacred and precious as a baby, we know that that lets you know that that in itself is a very creative energy. Orgasm is a very creative energy. This is why people that do like semen retention or let's just say like tantra or any type of sexual cultivation practice, no matter what it is, they tend to be more creative in the long run. Or they tend to have to be in a situation where they either have to use more creative expression or they end up usually being creative more so in the whole in general. But that's how that plays out because your spiritual energy, how do they say it? Your spiritual energy, your sexual energy, and your creative energy are one and the same. That's important to understand, right? Because the same way that you can create a child, you can create a whole life force. You can put that sexual energy into other things too, and manifest and create different things in your life from from that type of perspective. But that's important understanding that. But then you also understand a deeper level of this. That a lot of people don't know that your spirit size actually deals with your orgasm. Meaning, um, the bigger your spirit is, which I did on my last video about what's the difference between a person with a big spirit and a small spirit. The person with a bigger spirit, when they have an orgasm, or when they ejaculate or whatever, female, man, whatever, they actually lose a little bit more life force um, in general when they do it, especially if it's solo. Now, here's the thing. If they doing it with a partner, it's still, a big expansion that's going on, a contraction that they have, so they still lose a lot of energy, but they don't lose as much because they still have a womb that it can go into, or they have a portal, like if you're a man, you're a woman, you have something that can give you that energy back. That's why a lot of times when two people are having intercourse, it's different because, the man don't just lose. When two people having intercourse, a man and woman, the man is actually receiving her energy and fluids too that go within his private, and the woman is receiving some of her fluids too. And yes, when you talk about creating a baby, yes, but I'm not even talking about when create a baby. I'm talking about even in general. When two people are just having intercourse, like I said, I'm not trying to get too explicit. That's why I don't want to say specific names. But when two people are having like intercourse, whatever like that, the man is receiving her fluids the same way she's receiving his fluids. whether you want to call it pre, all that stuff. Like y'all are literally exchanging fluids, and so he's receiving something from that woman and her organ, her juices and stuff like that. You see what I'm saying? So that's a sense of vitality as well from the feminine perspective. So he's absorbing that some of her chi, her gene as well. You see what I'm saying? Some of her essence as well. So it plays out as a form of energy. Now, who you effing and who you need to be, that's a different story. But just know that in the end of the day, that is still a form of energy that guy's absorbing. So it's not as draining as, let's say, something that act like masturbation or something where they doing it by themselves. It's not nearly as draining because when the person doing it by themselves, they don't have nothing to bounce off of. They just completely their expansion. Boom, they explode. They shoot that load or they orgasm or whatever like that, and then they do that out of thin air. There's nothing to resist against that. There's nothing to vortex or accumulate that energy back or conserve that energy or in the sense of where they put whatever they put out gets back in. It's just completely just yang external out and it's like a loss almost. So not none of these things are right and wrong. You just have to understand to have moderation in whoever you are. But just understand too, the bigger a person's spirit size is, aka the more knowledge and experience that they have, and how much older their spirit is, they actually, you could say, I know it sounds crazy, but you could actually say to some extent they might orgasm harder because that contraction. That's why I say your because your orgasm is kind of spiritual in a sense. That contraction is going to be more powerful because your spirit is more broader. So there's much more energy, much more life force can be expelled. You see what I'm saying? With much more energy because that chakra, like I said, deals with vitality, life force, all that stuff like that. And when you orgasm, you literally, you could say not losing a piece of your spirit, but you giving a piece of your spirit is the best way to say it. So you have a broader spirit. You have much more to give. So it's much more of a stronger, more expansive contraction that you're giving off when you're orgasming. And you have a larger spirit. If you don't understand this, you might not understand it, but that's the best way that you could say it. Um, so yeah, therefore the drainage will be a little bit can be broader if a person is solo, in general, but mainly like if they like I said they solo because if you solo, you're not with nobody to bounce that off. You're not exchanging nobody's fluids. Whether you're male or woman, you're not exchanging nobody else's fluids back within you to some extent. Because all the different vitamins and stuff like that and enzymes that come within the woman's fluids that go back in, that go inside you when you were screwing her, y'all both are exchanging energies, and then the precum, all that stuff, all that is still uh, that all that plasma and stuff like that. That's actual energy. You see what I'm saying? Because plasma comes first before you even have the physical blood and the blood cells and the sperm cells. Plasma actually comes first. So this is why like tears are like a sense of plasma. When they would talk about the water that's already in your body, they actually talk about plasma. You see what I'm saying? That's a sense of plasma. um, which is pretty interesting too. Your sweat glands, maybe the cry, all that stuff is a sense of plasma. Um, so yeah, and then the more thicker, the more dense that it gets, the more longer it stays. It gets more thicker. That's why you get like. But that's a different story. I don't get into that. But that's pretty much it. But just know that sometimes with orgasm it can be a sense of drainage depending on how often a person does it, and if they how they doing it and what they're doing with that energy. Are they building that energy back? How often are they doing it? How healthy is their own sexual organ in their root chakra? You know what I'm saying? All that stuff matters too. And then if they have a person is that they're receiving their energy from back, and how do they recharge their own body? Like what do they eat, vitamin wise, health wise? What practices, sexual practice do they do to build and cultivate energy? What do they do to build and cultivate jing and chi, which is internal energy? You know what I'm saying? To nurture their self and their soul and all that, and their physical body and all that stuff like that. With that being said, I ain't gonna be here long. I just want to throw that out there, just a little spit of knowledge of that. I probably ain't get it in depth as I could have, but I did just want to get that out the way and say that, let that be known and stuff like that. But with that being said, peace. Have any questions? Hit me in the comment section in the chat.